Welcome to Avi's Kosher Kitchen. I'm your rabbi in the kitchen, and I've got a great recipe for you, eggplant Parmesan, sort of. I'll tell you why in a minute, okay? This is a great recipe when it comes to the 9 days, which is the first 9 days in Av, where we don't eat meat, we only eat dairy, or for Shavuos, which is another holiday, Jewish holiday, where we traditionally eat dairy foods, or it's great just for the kids during the week or anything else like that. And there's a couple of twists on this, and I'm going to show you a couple of tricks that I've learned that I think are great. First thing we're going to do is I want to let you know we're cutting everything here with a parve knife, okay? Because I'm using garlic, I'm using peppers. These are very sharp foods, okay? If I cut them with a meat knife, what happens from a kosher perspective is that this garlic and these peppers, or onions for that matter, would become what we call fleisha. They would become like they have meat infused in them. You don't have to get into all the reasons, you just have to trust me on this one. And because we want to eat this with cheese, I can either use a dairy knife, or I'm going to use a parve knife, and I'm going to cook it in my parve pan, okay? I've got this green pan. You see it's been around a while, but this is how I know it's parve. It's my only green pan. I've got here about 6 cloves of garlic cut up. I'm going to cut 1 more clove of garlic in here. Let me show you a little trick that I do. I take the garlic clove, just make a little couple of slices lengthwise, and then of course just right along there, and it comes out nicely diced, and I put that in there. Okay, now what I want to do is I'm going to move quickly. I've got these sweet peppers and a couple of varieties of colors. By the way, what we're doing with all this, the garlic and the peppers, we're making our sauce first, because the sauce needs time to just kind of fester. All these flavors need to get together. The tomatoes need to cook down. We want to be able to do that first and then worry about your eggplant and burning it, and we'll show you how to do that in a minute. Now our peppers, we obviously don't want that end, but we want the rest of it. There are little seeds in these peppers, and that's okay. That's okay to put in there. So we're going to cut our tops off and just slice these down a little bit like so. Okay, our peppers are all diced beautifully, and look at that color, beautiful. I've got our garlic ready to go, and our pan is nice and hot. Garlic goes in first, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Here we go. You can hear it sizzle. Take a look at this on Rabbi Cam. Look at that. See that going? Just a beautiful infusion. Okay, so the garlic's in there. I've got our peppers ready to go. I want to let the garlic smell a little bit. In other words, I want to smell that garlic cooking for just a little bit, then I'm going to add the peppers. That way we get some true garlic flavor going right into the pan, okay? And when you put the peppers in, it stops the garlic from burning or getting any further done. I think we're ready to go. I'm just going to take my peppers right over here on my board and just slide them right in. And that's going. Take a look at this. Isn't that beautiful? So my peppers and garlic are going. I've got some vine-ripe tomatoes. I've cut this one in half, and now we just take and we cut right along the edge of it to make some chunks, okay? Put this one aside. I'm going to show you a trick in a minute. Just cut these into strips, and we're going to cut these again into cubes, dice them up, and you're going to see there's a lot of juice coming out of that tomato. We're going to get all of that right into the pan, because we want all of this great tomato flavor going, okay? And we dice this up. Now, here's a problem with tomatoes. You have a knife, maybe it's a sharp knife, maybe it's a dull knife. A sharp knife, you don't usually have a problem, but a dull knife, and you try to cut through this, you're squashing it, you're not cutting. Here's a trick. Flip it over, okay? Flip it over just like this, and cut it from the soft side. And look at this. Look how easy this just cuts. Just slices right through, as opposed to here, you're punching it through. Okay, my tomatoes are all diced. We're about to really get that sauce going. Now here's a problem a lot of people have. I know it happens in my house all the time. You want to cook, and the kids are coming home from school, and things are getting a little crazy, and you go, I'm not making that sauce. I'm not taking the time to chop peppers and garlic and tomato and basil and this and that and the thing. I'm getting a jar and I'm opening it. And you know what I say? Good for you. That's okay. If that works for you, perfectly. But I want to show you my way of doing it to put that extra love in there, okay? So we're going to take these tomatoes, and I'm just going to slide them right into our pan, okay? Now one thing I want to let you know about this, you want to let all of that juice just roll off of this board, okay? You're going to get a lot of tomato in there, a lot of juice, okay? I've lowered the heat on this a little bit because I didn't want things to burn. I'm going to crank it up a little bit now, back to about a medium. Now I've got in here some previously dried and chopped up basil. This is that basil that I had left over, okay? So rather than let it go bad, I chop it up, put it in the freezer, I take it out, that goes right in there, all that basil. I've got, by the way, a couple of nice new leaves. If you could smell these, you'll be going, it's so good, trust me. Now I'm going to take this and we just take this nice leaves. I'm not going to make these quite as chopped up because I want to see a little bit of this texture of this basil going into that sauce, okay? We throw that in there, okay? And now we're going to start adding a little bit of spice to it, okay? We want to put a little bit of salt in there now. I'm going to tell you this is going to be about a half a teaspoon of salt. Don't over salt it at first. A lot of people make that mistake because once it's in, it don't come out. So go easy and gentle. You want to taste, taste, taste. That's the key in cooking, is to taste. You don't see a lot of liquid in there yet. That liquid is going to come as the tomatoes cook down, okay? They come out. But we can add a little bit of water into it, and we will do that right here. Just a skosh of water, just to give it something to reduce into, okay? Now, if you want to add garlic, you could more garlic, you could do that with a little garlic powder. If you want to add some oregano, you could do that. I don't like to add a lot of spices right now. I like to let it cook. I like to let the flavors get to know each other. You know, it's like going to a cocktail party, right? You go to a cocktail party, you know nobody, okay? You go, you have a couple of drinks, you start to mingle, this, that. By the end of the party, you know a lot of people and everything's fine. It's the same thing in there. The garlic doesn't know the pepper, or doesn't know the basil, it doesn't know the tomato, but now they're meeting. Hey, tomato, I'm the basil. Hey, basil, I'm the garlic, okay? They're getting to know each other. By the time they have actually really had a couple of cocktails in there, had a little fun together, then they're really going to be meshing together, and that's when you taste it. And that's when you decide, do I need a little more salt, a little more of this, a little more of that. One thing we are going to put at the end, by the way, is a little secret weapon that's right here, a little brown sugar. Brown sugar, because the tomato is very acidic, okay? You want to cut that acidic taste, that acid, with a little bit of sweetness, okay? This is the way we always want to do things. So we're going to let that cook down, and in a second, I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how we actually do the eggplant part of this, okay? With a surprise twist on the breading. Stay with us.